we're trying something new today. This is called a 10-minute webinar. So the idea is for me to throw as much as I can at you in 10 minutes. So it's a nice short break out of your day that you can take something back. There is a Q&A button, and so I do have some time at the end. For those of you who have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. So with that, let's get going. So what we're going to do today is talk about Outlook. All right, so we're going to talk about Outlook, and what we want to talk. So there's a lot to cover on Outlook. So obviously, we're not even going to come close to covering everything. What I wanted to go over here is some of the great, quick shortcuts and tips that we see in Outlook. Jen, can you see my screen all set? Oh, okay.
Yes, it looks good.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get going. So as you can see, what we have in here is an inbox. So in the inbox, the first thing I'm going to start with is categories. So categories is one of those things that a lot of people kind of look over, and I use it quite extensively. And I think a lot of people don't even know that they exist or barely pay attention to them. So Outlook comes with some default categories, and they just call them blue, green, orange, purple, so forth. Not exactly useful to me. But the important thing is they allow you to create new categories. So you can create a category called important. You can create one called sales, service. You can create a new one called marketing. Okay, and once you have these categories in, you can name them. As you can see, you can get rid of the old ones if you want. If you prefer, you can get rid of them as well. So now you have a category. So what can you do with the category? So as you can see, what you can do is start marking messages with categories. So essentially, if I want to take a particular message and I want to mark it for sales, and I want to mark it, I want to mark another one for service. Let's say I want to mark a few of these for service. What I'm doing here is I'm right-clicking. And if you left-click, it'll do the default one. I'm right-clicking on it. So I'm going to do a couple more for service. I'll do some for sales. And then I'll do this one as important. All right, so now we have them categorized. So you might be looking at this saying, all right, well, it's kind of cool, but that's not really useful to me. And I would agree. The real usefulness comes in when you click on the categories column. So when you do that, watch what happens. It actually groups those messages by the category. And as you as you get new messages in, you just mark them and it automatically moves them down. So this is really good if you have one of those messages that you want to get to. It's important. You don't want to delete it out of your inbox, but you kind of want to move it slightly out of the way. Or like a lot of times I might use this if I have a sales meeting coming on. I'm going to keep these items in the sales group to remind me that when I have that meeting with Sean or I have a service meeting with Mike, these are some items that I want to talk about. It also allows me to keep the important items up top. And you can see they're still sorted by date. So I use this to organize my inbox, and it's really helpful, especially if a lot of items in your inbox or you want to have them organized in a particular way. All right, next thing I want to talk about is it's not necessarily a new feature, but it's one that Microsoft did a great job making it easier. So essentially, if we open up a particular email message and then we reply to that message, you have what's now this button up here, which didn't exist before. It's called View Templates. So what templates are is basically they're quick launch things that you can run on your message that'll just automatically type in standard. So if you have something that you type on a regular basis, you can just quickly launch it. And as you can see, you can create your own. And so when you go in, you can click on it and it'll just automatically add that into the email message. It's great when you do repetitive tasks or when you go through. We actually use it when we're meeting with particular clients and that, and there's a standard checklist of things that we want to talk about. We actually create a template on it so that when we create that message, we actually click on the template and it actually brings up that list rather than us having to remember it. All right. I'm gonna go into the next item here that I want to cover is something that probably I think all of us have had, where we've hit send on an email message, and as soon as you hit send on it, something goes through your head. It's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this, or I accidentally did reply all or didn't reply all or whatever it may be. And you're like, oh, I wish I could just grab that message back. Well, you can't grab the message back, but I'm going to show you what you can do that might save you in this scenario. So we're going to go into rules, and we're going to go into manage the rules. And I'm going to go into a new rule, and I'm going to apply this rule on all the messages I send. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can do within this section here, but I'm going to do on apply to all messages sent. We'll scroll through. I'm just going to hit next, and it's going to tell me I'm going to reply this. Rule is going to apply on every message that we send. That's what we want. Now, what I'm going to look for here is this button right here. It says Deferred Delivery. So what that means is that we're going to go in here and we're going to set a period of time. We're going to set, let's say 3 minutes. Could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. And when we click on that, every time we send a message now, the system is actually going to move that message into the outbox and just keep it there for that allotted time, whatever it is, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. It's just going to keep it in that outbox. That allows you then to go grab that message and change it. So you can go through and say, oh, all right, I can just go into the outbox and grab it and do what I want to do. Let's see, I'm just going to send one as a test here. So it allows you to go and grab it. So you can see right here, there's a 1 message. It's just sitting there. I can go back in and I can edit this message. I can do whatever I need to do to go grab it. And it's kind of like a save your bacon type of scenario. So it's great. All right, so that's the delayed delivery. Let's talk about if you don't want to do that for every email message, but let's say, so I have a tendency to get in the office early. So if I'm in the office at like 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. or whatever it may be, and I want to email something to staff. So I have something I want to email to a particular person, particular vendor, whatever. I don't like to email them a bunch of stuff. So when they first get in, they just see a whole bunch of stuff in the mailbox. That's not really, I'm not a big fan of that. So what I do typically is I will do something called delayed delivery. And what that means is I'll go over into the options and I'll go into the delivery. And what I can do is I can set a time in the future. As you can see, it can be any day that you want, and then you set a time. And then what will happen, again, that email message will just sit in the outbox, ready to send, and it will not send until that time in the future gets hit. And that way you can actually grab it. But like I said, you can also just schedule it. Let's say you want to send out a meeting invite, but you don't want to send it out until 11 o'clock of that day. This is where you can stop and send an individual email message at a later date. Okay, so let's go into another thing that I use quite often. And you guys have probably seen this too, where you're emailing back and forth with somebody. Could be a vendor, could be a client, could be a colleague or anything like that. You're like, hey, listen, can you meet on this day? Can you meet on this day? Can you meet on that day? And finally you get it. Finally you get that meeting date done. And you want to go create a calendar invite for it. Well, most people, what they do is they shut down the email message and then they go to the calendar. But what you can actually do is just click on this meeting button, and it actually takes that email message and turns it into a calendar invite for all of the people that were on the email chain automatically. So as you can see, it has the full body of the email in it. It has everything you want right in that email message itself. And all you have to do is just send that date, and it'll automatically send them an invite for that meeting date. And it already has the body of the email in it, which is great because now you don't have to reference it back and forth. The other thing I'll point out while we're in here is that if you use Teams for your meetings, there's also a button up here that you can just use for your Teams meeting. You just click on this button and it'll automatically add a Teams invite to that meeting itself, which again is really cool. It'll automatically put the location and the Teams joining meeting in there. And if you have a Teams phone number, it'll add the Teams phone number in there as well. So again, it's a nice quick way to do meetings right from your inbox. I'm going to show you another thing that I use all the time as well that also has to do with meetings. So let's say that you have a particular email of something that you want to do or something that you want to attend, right? So you want to remember to make your football picks, let's say, right? So you want to remember to make them. So what I do oftentimes, I'll use this meeting invite button again, but I don't want to invite Jen to this meeting. She doesn't care about my football picks. So what I'll do is I'll set the schedule and then I'll cancel the invitation. So it doesn't send the invite to Jen, it only puts it on my calendar. It doesn't put it on her. So again, it takes that email and changes it into a meeting just for me. I'm going to go into two more things really quick. So one I'll show you as well. So a lot of some of you, especially in the healthcare industry, have to send secure emails. You encrypt them, and the way that we encrypt them, as you know, is that we put a secure word in there. The one that we typically use is secure mail. So I'm going to show you two ways to make that a little easier, so you don't have to remember it. So instead of having to type the word secure mail and possibly fat fingering it, have it not working, there's two different things you can do. One, you can go into signature, and what I do is I have two signatures, and as you can see, there's one of the signatures is called secure, and what it does is it automatically adds the word secure to the bottom of the email. So now I know when I send this email out, it's going to be encrypted. The other way you could do it, which is actually just as easy, is you could actually just create a template that just has the word secure mail in it. And so now when you hit that template, it also just adds the word secure mail to it. So you don't have to worry about remembering it to it or to mistyping it when you're going in. It makes it really quick. I'm going to do one more thing here. Okay. So I am notoriously bad at typing emails. You name it. I miss words, mistype words, everything like that. What I found is that the spell check is great, but in this case, you can see it's actually missing a word. It's not going to tell me that. So one of the cool things that you could do is you can actually go into review and you go into read aloud, and it'll actually read you your highlighted text.
This is a good day to hear.
So you can say that, oh wait, that didn't make any sense. I'm going to retype it. And now when you hear it,
This is a good day to be here.
now I found my typo really quick. It's great when you have like a long paragraph and so forth. The computer will actually just read back your text to you. And again, for me, I'm very audible and it helps out. It makes sense. Okay, we are at the 12-minute mark. Jen, let's see. I see one question in here. Can you apply flags to categories? So flags and categories are like two different items. So essentially, when you flag an item, it's still a category. The other thing that you can do as well, you can have an email as part of more than one category. So Jen, if you might want to mute yourself if you know. So you can actually take an email message and make it more than one category. So you can go in and actually make this part of sales as well. And that email message, believe it or not, will actually show up twice, even though it's only one email message. All right. Let's see the rest of the email. Who asked the question? Monica. So stop running rules and it appears automatically in the rules I set. This then stops rules from running. Is there a way to? Monica, I'll tell you what, I don't know the answer to that question right now. So let me see if I can research that for you. And then see if I can find that answer out for you. I will say that I'm going to, since you're on though, I'll show you two more quick tips just in case. So you guys might have noticed these quick steps up here that I have, which are really cool. These quick steps are good for a couple things. One, you can see that I have them up here. What I do is I categorize my emails under different folders. So these quick steps are really good as far as creating and modifying what they do. So let's say on this quick step up here, it has an unsubscribe. So what I have it do is I have it reply to an email message and then I have it delete it. So let's say there's a particular email message and it doesn't have an unsubscribe button, then what I can do is actually just click on this quick step. It just deleted the email and put the word unsubscribe in the subject. The other thing that I do, like I said, I categorize mine a lot. So let's say I want to, I'm done with this email message. I just want to move it into a folder called In Office. I just click on this quick step. It just moved it out of my inbox and moved it into that folder instead of me having to drag and drop it and find the folders. So quick steps are really easy. You just say create one, you give it a name, and you tell it what to do. You can do a bunch of different actions all at the same time. You can delete the message, you can copy it, you can forward it, you can flag it, you can do all sorts of things with the message based on just hitting that button. So I find that really handy. I'll give you guys Outlook does not have to be running for delayed delivery to work, Carl. It actually is a function of the server. So it's a function. So when you're in Outlook, think of Outlook as the front end to the server. It's not the only client. So like if you were to go, that's why it's all synchronized. When you go between your notebook and your computer, they're all the messages show in the outbox itself. All right, and I'll wait for one more questions. While I'm waiting, I'll show you guys one more rule that I use a lot. So one of the rules that I use all the time, although you guys shouldn't use it for us, this rule right here. So those of you that are familiar with rules, like you, I get a lot of email messages that are newsletters or just unsolicited email messages. And what I found is they all seem to have some kind of similar message in the bottom of them, which is to opt out, be removed, unsubscribe. So I created a rule that said if any email message contains those texts, I actually move them into a subfolder off of my inbox. So what will happen is they'll actually go into a subfolder called newsletters, and they automatically go down in there. So that cleans my inbox out, and I go and check that newsletter folder on a regular basis. I can still see that they're in there. It just temporarily moves them in there, going through. All right. I don't see any other questions. We're at 17 minutes, so I've failed by 7 minutes, Jen.
Well, we did say Q&A after the first 10. So
that's true. All right.
You're still in our 30-minute window.
Oh, all right. I feel better. Anybody else have any other questions before we wrap up? Actually, I'd love to see if you guys could post in the Q&A. You know what I'd love to know is, was this useful? Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Should we change it? I'd really, if you could post that in the Q&A before you leave, that would be really helpful because it'll help us determine whether we should do more of these or not. Thank you very much, Monica. Appreciate that. Yes, Jen, this has been recorded, right?
Yes, it's recorded and we'll put it up with the rest of our videos.
All right, Richard, too fast and double the time. All right, and I'll tell you what, when you play back the recording, you can play it back at a slower speed. My voice sounds even worse than it does now. A little fast, but that's my own problem. All right, Taylor, what we'll do, Jen, do you have the email address of everybody who's in there to make sure that they have the recording?
I do. I'll send out a link to the recording. That way you guys can watch it and pause as you go along, which is what I'm going to do later.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're getting a lot of feedback that it was, that people would like it a little bit slower. And as you can see, that's definitely something that that's great feedback for us, because what we're trying to do is find that break in your day so that you're not like, oh God, another 1 hour webinar. We want to find something that's useful. But then again, I am a fast talker and I did have a lot of caffeine this morning. Great. Okay, I think we'll call it a wrap. Jen, unless you have something else to go over.
Nope, I'm good. Excited for the next one.
Okay, great. Everybody, thank you very much for attending. Have a great day.
Thank you.